Waters, your complete water store.
Vaccines are not enough, and accurate thermometers are essential for everyone. COVID is once again a major concern, and fever is the key symptom for both the flu and COVID. An accurate thermometer, like the Exergen temporal scanner, is essential to detect fevers early and reliably. Studies have shown that non-contact thermometers are ineffective and therefore dangerous, as they create a false sense of security. Exergen is working with a single focus to ensure that everyone who needs an accurate thermometer can purchase one. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Divine Intervention is online at yourfortdodge.com, on Twitter at JMike1400.
That's right, and we're broadcasting from the Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters studio. Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters is at 612 South 32nd Street in Fort Dodge. You may contact Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters by calling 576-6481. That's Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters. Joining us in the studio, and so it's a great pleasure to have Senator Tim Kreinbrink here. What are you doing over there, big guy?
Pinch hitting, I think. You must have been desperate today.
Well, Bemrick couldn't show up today. Bemrick, he couldn't.
You know, that's what I like about you, Mike. You're always honest. You know, I mean, you don't try to say, no, I had you in mind all the time. You know, at least when you come in here, you tell me, you know, that I'm second to Matt Bemrick. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Hey, you're off the bench. You do really well off the. You're a great six man.
But not only that, but in a way, you know, that's probably got to make Matt feel good.
I think he's out at that Growth Alliance.
Oh yeah, the golf outing today. Yeah,
it's not the best day to golf.
Oh, it's a beautiful day.
Is it all right?
Oh, if you like golf, why wouldn't you want to be out here when it's not 110 degrees?
Well, it's kind of cloudy and it's not really. You got to have sun, as far as I'm concerned. Do you golf at all?
I do, yeah, but you know, I don't like it 105 degrees and your club slides out of your hand because you're sweating so much. You know, I mean,
I don't think I swung a club this year.
Oh, really?
I mean, maybe twice last year. I think
we'll have to do that sometime.
I'm ready.
You and I'll have to, you know, go out and do 9 holes, or you don't want to jump right into 18 because the chiropractor is pretty busy and they're not going to want to see you every day for the next week.
We'll take Jim Meyer with us, who will beat the hell out of both of us. Did you go to the Scraptur's birthday party here?
No, you know what? We were actually in Charlotte at our son Ben's.
Sure.
So I didn't make it, and I did send him a big way to go and welcome to the 60 club, and I said that's all downhill from here.
It's all well, it doesn't get any better. Remember when I turned 50, the doctors started saying things like, well, you better have a colonoscopy. Well, I don't want one.
You got a real good introduction to Dr. Adams. Huh?
Yes, I did. I've seen him a couple of times over there.
Yeah.
I think I had my last one 2 years ago. I think, well, you're good till you're 77.
Yeah.
After 77, it really ain't happening.
It's going to be a natural death after that, right?
That's it. I'm 77. Okay, I'm good. All right, that's a long life.
Then you just lie about it.
Yes, I do.
I had it.
Yes, that's right. So, Senator Kreinbrink is here, and if you'd like to ask a question of Senator Kreinbrink, it's 515-955-1400, 955-1400. So I had Jesse Green in here yesterday. I don't know, maybe if you heard that or not, but Jesse was here, and Jesse thinks you're a liberal. No, we didn't mention your name at all. But Jesse had
one less on my Christmas list, I guess.
Right. Yeah, you gave a very clear and even impassioned explanation of why you didn't get vaccinated for COVID the last time you were here. That's probably 3 weeks or a month ago. Are you still unvaccinated, or do you still feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean, I probably feel stronger now than I did before because the information is coming out. You know, there are doctors in Harvard. You know, I know a lot of people don't like to listen to Fox News, but you know, Fox News probably isn't as right as it used to be. As far right, anyway.
I don't think it is.
But you know,
by the way, MSNBC cut Rachel Maddow down to once a week Saturday morning. Now that's Death Valley.
Yeah, I don't even know who she is. But
she's a very radical.
Okay.
For MSNBC,
But a lot of times I've got SMX, you know, in my car, and I'll listen to that. And they had a doctor on there from Harvard that they've done studies about this, and they actually said that the unvaccinated person that has antibodies from having COVID is 13 times less apt to get COVID than someone that has a vaccine.
And you've had COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I still give blood, and when I give and get my report back, I still have antibodies. And you know what? I mean, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. If people want to get it, that's fine. If my kids want to get it or my wife wants to get it, that's fine. If you want to wear a mask, that's fine with me as well. I'm not going to shame anybody for doing it or not doing it. This is America, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
And
you're right there.
And when we start mandating things that aren't law, then we've pretty much gone down a road that is unconstitutional. I feel it's unconstitutional.
It's a violation of rights, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And in answer to individual freedom, the Biden administration has now come to Iowa and other states on the preposterous charge that that to not wear a mask in school is somehow endangering disabled students.
It's discrimination. Yeah. Well, I'm part of the lawsuit.
Are you part of the lawsuit? I didn't know that.
Everybody that voted for it has been, is part of the lawsuit.
And what is the accusation exactly?
The accusation is that it's discrimination
against disabled children in our school system.
And we are.
How are they being discriminated against? Because they're more apt to suffer from COVID, or what is the
I don't know.
It's just bullying is what it is.
I mean, if you look it up, there's a lawsuit that's out there right now against everybody, Governor Reynolds and everybody that voted for that non-mask mandate bill in our schools.
Right. So that's the federal government. And then we have this woman from Council Bluffs who tried to be a Potawatomi county supervisor on the Democratic ticket and failed. She's now suing the governor, and perhaps you too, I don't know, alleging that, masking and COVID protocols should be instituted immediately, that the law passed last session is somehow unconstitutional.
And like I said, don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-mask and I'm not anti-vaccination. It's just should be, it should be a personal choice. And if people want to if they feel they're making themselves safer, by wearing masks, then by all means wear a mask or don't go where people aren't masked or whatever. But to punish people or to infringe on people's rights to be free in a free society, and follow the Constitution, because none of this is law. It's all recommendations of the CDC. Then, I mean, if it becomes a law, then I guess we probably have to follow it. But I still think it would be it'd go to the Supreme Court and probably be ruled either constitutional or unconstitutional.
If the Democratic Party in Iowa or in the United States thinks that the people of our country or our state likes this sort of bullying and really shoving people around, they're wrong. And they're going to lose big in 2022. I don't care.
I don't know. I mean, to me,
I don't know either.
My focus isn't on any of that. My focus is just on, what I feel my rights. I'm not going to try to justify myself to anybody, or I'm not going to try to bring anybody else down.
Pray and break. I never feel the need to explain myself.
Do you feel the heat from me ever?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't feel the heat from you, Tim. That's a weird question, by the way.
And I am not packing today either, so you don't have to worry about it. So
well, we can't pack over at the courthouse anymore.
Yeah, I went
over and tried to convince them that we should pack in the courthouse.
You bought a gun just for that reason? Good job, Mike.
Thank you very much. I'll tell you, I bought a few when Obama was president, and I expect no less from this character. The
best gun salesman in the world.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Biden and Obama was really the best gun salesman. The gun store owners love that guy. Go ahead and scare people to death.
It's pretty much been nonstop the whole time. So.
Oh yeah, it's all about control. The Democrats really, since Trump, have been very, very aggressive in seeking and keeping power. Not just, and the idea that they're seeking power for the benefit of mankind is absurd. Mm-hmm. They just like to listen to that mean old Nancy Pelosi. She wants to keep your thumb right in your face, on your neck, and Biden. I hope the Republicans do try to impeach him.
Well, and it wasn't that long ago, probably within the last year or so, that she had made the statement that you can't force people to get a vaccination. I mean, she physically said this out of her mouth, and now all of a sudden it's the opposite way. It just, to me, anything that happens like that should put a red flag up for anybody.
Yeah.
And to me, it personally did put a red flag up, and, I don't care what anybody else thinks about it, but, I have the right to feel that way.
Yes, you do. I went over and talked again at the Board of Supervisors, not about regulation, but about freedom. What is the definition of freedom? What does freedom mean? The freedom to be regulated, the freedom to be told what to do by experts who probably have a bias. If you believe in implicit bias, and Mark,
I mean, we have bias. I have bias.
I have bias. God, I use I regret this, and I have corrected it.
Truth or dare, right here.
No, it's not. Listen, you show me somebody my age in Fort Dodge who's never used a racial slur, and I'll show you a guy who's lying his butt off. I mean, and most of the women too. That's the way the world was at the time. We grew out of it. We're making progress. We don't need to be smashed in the face with these critical race theories.
Right.
Anyway, I should be talking. I should be letting you talk.
No, you're doing a good job.
Am I doing a good job? Maybe I should run for scrappy.
There you go. There you go.
I didn't realize Jesse Green.
Did you just make that public?
What? That I'm running for scrappy seat? God, wouldn't it be great to debate the scrappy?
You'd have to move, though.
I would.
Yeah, that's one way you can get them to talk to you.
It would be a great debate.
Sorry, Mike. I just had to. I'm Mike Sexton. I just had to throw that in there.
Oh, Mike Sexton. Well, that's the Scrapster. You need to call him Scrappy so you can determine between the two of them.
I have to be more respectful.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, Scrapster's okay. Scrapster's a pretty sharp guy.
He is.
He's just
good guy.
Yeah, he's just very sensitive.
He's busy.
Yeah. Oh, he's a busy man. Very sensitive guy. He doesn't feel as you and I do, that he has to explain himself, or that if somebody says something, that wow, big deal. I mean, that's your opinion. That's mine. That's my attitude. Oh, really? You think that? Who cares what you think?
Yeah, the longer you're in these spots, you kind of figure that out.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
You just got to keep doing what's right for the people.
Yeah, I was checking out ESPN website yesterday, looking for sports, and of course ESPN is kind of a woke network. And there was a picture of this adorable looking like 9 or 10-year-old girl on the front page of this on the front web page. And apparently this little girl was born a boy. And the mother, she was trying to run in cross country, I think, in female events in cross country.
So biologically, this young girl is a boy.
Yes, that's right.
But she has longer hair now, and just.
Which I think any parent that does that to a child, lets that child determine that they're of another sex, is guilty of child abuse. I think that child should be taken out of the home and the parents institutionalized they shouldn't be allowed to raise children. That's, I think I'll run. I'm going to run for public office. I wonder if it's too late to run.
Yes, I think I'll run.
I think I'll run. I wonder if I can still run again for council.
I think that ship has sailed.
All right, maybe I can launch a write-in campaign. I don't know. Maybe I should run for mayor and debate Emory. That would really be cool. What do you mean you're Catholic?
If that's it, you should have been at the event today. You would have gotten a lot of votes there. So
out of the
you should have been golfing today.
No, Growth Alliance. No. Golfing is secondary to the main activity.
So what were you saying about the ESPN?
The little girl? Actually, little boy. Well, the mother made an amazing comment. She's perfectly normal. She's a perfectly normal girl. And I thought to myself, except she has a penis, which doesn't make it normal or her normal. What the hell is the matter with a parent like that? That's what I mean. They need to be institutionalized. The parents, there's nothing wrong with a little girl. She needs to be told that biologically she's actually male. To
this point, I think we're probably in one of the most socially trying times to this point that we've ever been in. I mean, there's a lot of headwind out there for social shock, or whatever you want to call it, that we as not normal people, but how I was raised is just totally different than what my parents who my parents raised me as.
Mm-hmm.
And
you identify as male, right?
Yeah but I mean, the thing is that there are so many social issues that are coming before us today that I don't know if they're just trying to numb the younger generation to the point where they become not caring anymore.
That's right.
If that's what the goal is just to shock us and And so the next shock doesn't seem as bad as the last one.
Yes.
And so it just becomes normally, something that people aren't interested in anymore. They're not going to take a stance on because they don't want to fight it because it's just too much for them. They don't want that kind of, scrutiny. When you're in,
It's not too much for me.
no, but when you're an elected official, like we are, and as you as a talk show host, we have our opinions, and our opinions is what we get elected on. So everybody knows when they vote for me or against me. It shouldn't be at this point any shock to anyone of who they're getting.
Right.
I don't think that I've tried to hide it, or I don't think I've tried to backdoor it in a way that I've tried to mask my, agenda. And I think when people vote for me or against me, they know what they're going to get or what they're voting against. And that's the way it should be. And the majority of the people in that district or in your community, basically, if I win or if I lose, that gives that representation to the majority of people in that area. And when that happens, we just have to accept that that's the way this area is.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way this area is. If you
Yes.
if you like it or not, the majority of the people in these 60,000 constituents feel this way, whether it's 49.999 one way and 50.00001 the other way. It's still the majority of people.
Still the majority. That's
And
right.
so, that's what kind of keeps me going is, we hear, we get a lot of emails and we get a lot of phone calls and and there are people that are happy with what we do and there are people that aren't happy with what we do. But yet in the gist of things is we have to be accountable for all the people and basically the majority of people that put you into this spot. And if you don't, then you lose your majority and they start voting against you. So
we don't want to do that.
no, and I would never do it for the vote anyway. I do it because that's who I am. That's who I've always been.
Sure.
So-
I understand that.
And you've always known that about me.
I have known that about you. I hope you know that about me. I mean, I confessed on air.
You did?
Not
everybody does that.
last Friday I was talking with Randy and Nevin, and I confessed to in 1975 or 6 when you were in puberty.
I was just about graduating from high school.
Oh, is that
I'm
right?
older than you think.
You faked me out. What year did you graduate?
78.
Oh, 78.
So I would have been a junior in high school in 76.
Anyway, thank you for making my story about you.
Well, you were painting me as this little adolescent.
Yeah, well, you were an adolescent, right?
I don't know.
Weren't you an adolescent once? What you wanted to?
I thought I was pretty big stuff.
You are a big guy, but
and when I was a junior in high school, I thought I was big stuff.
This is in the mid 1970s.
Don't pop my bubble.
You've screwed up my whole story.
Okay,
No,
go.
I was talking with Randy and Nevin last Friday on the sports show, and I don't know. Every now and then we drop in tidbits of our lives, and I told this really amusing story. I thought it was amusing that about 75, 76, I was drunk, just horribly drunk, in Burt, Iowa, and I came out of a bar, and I saw the Burt police car parked kind of down the street. So I walked down there, jumped in it, the keys were in it, and stole it. And rode around town with the siren and red light on.
How'd you even figure out how to put that on? Just a button that said siren?
Yeah, it said siren. Yeah, there's toggle switches. And one of them said siren, the other said light. It wasn't exactly complicated. So I drove around. I was driving slowly.
Which one of the three did you do, though, when you were looking at it?
I was driving very slowly, was obeying the speed limits, waving to people.
Oh,
People were coming out of their houses. It was in the summertime, They were going, what the hell?
there's that divine kid again.
Well, no, but the Burt Town Marshal returned to Burt the next day and said if I ever went to Burt again, he was going to beat the hell out of me. So I never went to Burt again. Because I knew him and he could do it. He's since passed away.
That's funny.
I take no pleasure in saying he's since passed away.
So you're going to Burt this
Maybe I
weekend?
should try to go again. Oh, the things we do when we're young. And back in those days, they kind of said, well, you're young and you're insane. So he got out of the service.
You got a pass.
Right. Yeah. You just got out of the service here a year or two ago. So,
You deserve it.
yeah. So if you want to raise a little hell, Mike, go ahead. And boy, you never want to tell a guy like me something like that. Anyway, Senator Tim Kreinbrink's our guest. We'll be back.
Divine Intervention is online at yourfortdodge.com, on Twitter at JMike1400.
That's right. It's 3:29. The news is coming up. We are broadcasting from the Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters studio. Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters is located at 612 South 32nd Street here in Fort Dodge. You may contact Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters by calling 576-6481. That's 576-6481. See, I have all the exciting stories, and Senator Kreinberg's going to tell us in the next session how he stole the neighbor's cow. Or you have one of those stories?
No, I'm just learning from you. I'm going to make them up.
I knew a family where there were a lot of boys years ago, and they were all my parents' generation. They were the orneriest cusses you'd ever want to see. They all became successful in their life, but they go out over to the neighbor's backyard and and grab the cows and tie their tails together. And then the cows would try to get away, and pretty soon one of the cows would pull the other's tail completely off, and they just thought that was funny as heck. That must be toxic masculinity.
So this is another one of those stories that next Friday you're going to confess to you actually did it.
No. Nevin doesn't think that confession will help. He's probably right. This is KVFD.
My name is Major General Ben Correll. I've been deployed overseas 6 times with multiple combat tours. I've had a bounty placed on my head by insurgent forces. I haven't been in the hospital since the day I was born. Only one thing has been able to take me down: COVID. And now I've done my part to take COVID down: getting the vaccine. Find your location at vaccinateiowa.gov.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. A tractor accident in Pocahontas County has resulted in a fatality. The Pocahontas County Sheriff's Office says that 83-year-old Leroy L. Simonson of Rolfe died as a result of the accident Wednesday afternoon. Deputies were dispatched to an address just outside of the town of Rolfe shortly before 4 p.m. The police report says an attachment to the loader on the tractor came apart, causing the tractor to run over the attachment and subsequently eject Simonson from the tractor. Simonson was pronounced dead on the scene. The Pocahontas County Sheriff's Office was assisted by the Rolfe Fire Department and ambulance. Hy-Vee is set to partner with in-state colleges to hold COVID-19 vaccine clinics this weekend. Hy-Vee has announced it will be at both Jack Trice Stadium in Ames and Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City for the season opener of both teams this Saturday. The clinic in Ames will run from 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., and the Iowa City clinic will run from 9 a.m. to 2 in the afternoon. Both clinics are walk-up clinics and do not require an appointment. The Hy-Vee Healthy U mobile unit will be at both locations, and Hy-Vee pharmacy staff will be on hand to administer the vaccines. To find out more information, visit hyvee.com/COVID.
30 cents to close at 89.85, and December down 15 at 82.32. From the farm desk, I'm Dwayne Murley.
Food safety practices must include thermometers. I'm Julie Harker, and this is Healthy Living on Brownfield. Archie Magoulas with the USDA's food safety team says washing our hands, keeping hot foods hot, cold foods cold, and not cross-contaminating, while very important, will not ensure that food on the grill is fully cooked, but a food thermometer will. And he's seeing a change in attitude about it.
I do notice that more people, when I talk on the phone with consumers, they will say that, yes, I have a food thermometer, whereas I started about, 17 years ago, I think? Yes, 2004. And when you ask people to use a food thermometer, they would protest and say, well, I don't have a food thermometer. I said, it's getting easier to find, and it is. Now you go to the supermarket. I used to have to go to a hardware store back in my days anyway. Now you can find them almost anywhere. A supermarket, what they call five and dime. They're in those aisles where you find cookware, grocery stores or supermarket. So get one, because I really think it's so important.
He says the food thermometer guides us to cook the foods to the safest temperature that will kill bacteria.
You read some of the sad stories that have been reported with even children getting very ill, coming down with E. coli, because possibly, my view anyway, somebody just didn't bother to look at the middle of that hamburger and see that it was 160.
I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield.
And we're back with the final question. Are you ready?
Yep. I'd like to go ahead and answer the question.
I envy your confidence, but the producers are saying I have to ask the question.
All right, then.
For higher yields, which seed treatment fights hardest against nematodes?
The answer's Illivo seed treatment.
That's correct.
Yeah, I know.
What a show. Join us next week when the right answer will still be Illivo seed treatment. BASF, we create chemistry. Always read and follow label directions.
Livestock producers demand soybean meal that delivers superior nutrition. Are those the soybeans you're growing? Find out with the help of the United Soybean Board's soybean sampling program. Go to usb.soyvalue.com and request a sample kit. Send some of your beans in and we'll measure their nutritional value. Take the guesswork out of seed selection. Grow the varieties that deliver top nutrition. Compete better in the marketplace. Do it all with one visit to usb.soyvalue.com.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I'm Michael Devine. 3:36. We'll be back on the air with Senator Tim Kreinbrink in just a couple of minutes. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. Jerry Martin Ledley has passed away. Jerry Martin Ledley Sr. has passed away. Mr. Ledley passed away on August 30th at the Paula J. Baber Hospice House, surrounded by his family. Services will be held this evening at 6 o'clock at Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. It's 3:37.
Hi, I'm Randy Feenstra. My team and I are working hard every day to defend our values, strengthen our communities, and create more prosperity for our families. I am proud of what we've accomplished in these challenging times. We are working to protect innocent life, defend our nation's borders, and preserve our Second Amendment rights. I have been honored to work alongside the hardworking family farmers of our area, promoting Iowa agriculture. The best part of my job is getting to help constituents. In our short time in office, we have already helped scores of Iowans with issues related to Social Security payments and passports, while ensuring our military heroes get the honor and recognition they deserve. If you or someone you know needs help dealing with the federal government, feel free to contact my office at 202-225-4426. or visit us online at feenstra.house.gov. I'm Congressman Randy Feenstra, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
I'm Rocky Moselle with StarRegistry.com. Since we were children, we've been told to reach for the stars. It was great advice. Now it's a great gift. Name a star after someone. For $54 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, we will name a star after someone very special to you and send an incredible personalized gift. The new star name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Call the Star Registry, 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com for the hottest gift.
The first bet on Caesars Sportsbook app is up to $5,000 risk-free, people. When I told my team about the idea, they said I was being too wonderful and magnificent. But I don't care how awesome this makes me. I'm doing this for the people. So just download the app, and that first bet is up to $5,000 risk-free. Caesar made an app for the people.
Must be 21. Offer valid in Iowa only and for new players. Paid in bet credits. Terms and conditions apply. See Caesars.com/promos. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Michael Devine, broadcasting live.
That's right. We're broadcasting live from the Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters studio. Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters at 612 South 32nd Street here in Fort Dodge. You may contact Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters by calling 576-6481. That's 576-6481. Our guest is Senator Tim Kreinbrink. And, we just heard a advertisement for Feenstra for Congress. I think Randy Feenstra's done a hell of a job.
Randy's been doing a good job. Yeah.
Has he got an opponent? I haven't heard.
I'm not sure about that either. He's, I think he's in a pretty safe spot, actually.
Yeah, I think he is too. He's you just texted me. Thank you. That's okay. Yeah, well, that's great. I mean, it's pretty safe to say that a Democrat doesn't have much of a chance in fourth district.
But the redistricting, I don't know if you know that, but it's happening, and their first map in. So it's now. So
who has? Did you say?
So the LSA is like the Legislative Service. I can't even tell you what the last word is, but anyway, they are drawing the maps since the census was late. The 2000.
Were the Democrats in charge of that, or what?
Well, the 2020 census was a little late because of COVID, so we would have had the maps already redrawn for the new lines for our congressional and our state Senate and House races. So now we are in the process of drawing the lines. We go by the total amount of people in the state of Iowa, and you divide that by 50. So if it's 3 point whatever million, then each one of the senators is going to have, 60,000 some odd people, and then they have to draw the lines. And I don't know if that's what you were going toward when you were talking about Jesse, but Jesse does live in Webster County.
Yeah.
So if it happened that I would, or if this district would include the entire Webster County all the way down to Dayton and Lehigh and that area, then there would have to be some thing worked out between me and him if I wasn't going to run, or if he wasn't going to run, or if he was going to move, or whatever. It just depends. Or I might lose that bottom half of Webster and go up to Kossuth, or over to Buena Vista, or it just depends. I could lose part of Mike's area, and Mike could run for the Senate in that area. We don't know where those lines are. So right now we're in the preliminary, the first step of getting those boundaries redrawn. And the first thing they do is they draw the congressional seats.
Yes.
So that'd be the 4 seats that we currently have. And so Feenstra and Axney and Miller Meeks and Hinson will get theirs drawn, and then they'll start, going after the Senate seats like mine, like mine and Whitver and, all the ones that are the 50 senators.
Well, there's some places that are safe for Democrats. Iowa City, Story County,
oh yeah,
sorts of things.
Yeah. Polk County,
Is Herman Kornbach still in the Senate?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, 4.
I'm not sure if he teaches anymore, though.
Did he retire finally?
I'm not sure. I think he might have retired. I'm not totally positive, but I wouldn't know Senator Kornbach's age either, whether he's ready for retirement or not. But he's a very smart man. I mean,
I'm sure he is.
Very academically, very smart.
Well, I have a little problem with experts. I went through that again Tuesday, that experts have their biases. And when they put out their little studies, and especially if you're the CDC, for example, you want to put out your little studies that tell people what to do and what to think. And I'm ready to say to all the experts around COVID that you owe us an explanation. Are you making any progress in a permanent vaccine or a cure? Or why are you constantly waving around the latest study that says we all have to stay masked ad infinitum? Because this is a real political play by the Democrats. You see a Democrat on TV barking about COVID, they're trying to undermine Kim Reynolds and the Republican Party's argument on individual freedom. And I will always come down on the side of individual freedom.
Yeah, the Constitution is actually what we're accountable for. Every one of us that are sworn into office, from the sheriff to the city council, we're all sworn in to uphold the Constitution.
Yeah.
And so when there's a time that you don't, and you're not following the Constitution, I would imagine that's probably an impeachable or if you're not upholding the Constitution of the state of Iowa and the United States of America, that's something that I think should be taken pretty seriously, but apparently it's been trampled on so much in the past that it doesn't even, it doesn't mean anything. It's like that same thing we were talking about before. The shock factor is if we start trampling on it just a little bit, and then now it's being totally trampled on, people are acceptable because how do we fight it? It's too late now, but it isn't. People need to stand up for the rights of all of us, whether you're Republican, Democrat, or independent, or don't really care. It's still our duty to stand up for the Constitution of the United States of America.
Yes, it is. A lot of women stood up at the supervisors meeting the other day, courthouse employees, saying they didn't feel safe sometimes. Now, I'm not a woman, and I know there's a difference. We all know there's a huge difference between the way women and men see things. Somebody yells at me, I'm going to yell it back,
Right.
But I did stop to think how it would look to a woman who might be 5'3" or 5'4" to have some big old farmer yelling in her face. I don't know if that justifies keeping guns out of the courthouse or more sheriff's officers in the courthouse during working hours. But I think it made me think anyway that maybe we do need a greater presence or better security at the website.
Yeah, the last thing you want is for something bad to happen. And
God, who would want that?
Nobody wants that. And because of the way that our world is today, there's just a lot of really weird people out there. And
really,
you don't know. I was driving home last night and I went by a filling station that's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, not nowhere, but in Iowa, where there probably isn't somebody within 5 miles of it. And I know there's a car there with a person working inside, because I could see the person. And I thought, every time that a car pulls up, and you just wonder, is it, it would cross my mind.
Yeah.
You just wonder if somebody comes in and they wanted to rob you or just is in a bad situation and maybe not mentally on top of it, that's just, it's just not a good situation,
Sheriff Fleener invoked a rule, and I'm trying to find it.
Well, the sheriff ran on that to make the courthouses.
Yes, he did, but
the courthouses safer.
But he invoked a rule in the Iowa code that he says allowed banning guns in the courtroom if he decided and the Board of Supervisors sanctioned it. Exactly. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, and it is true. That is true. As long as they provide 2 armed security guards, and that's what they're doing. Is they'll have
that again?
They'll have in as long as they provide the manpower at the front to be able to, to monitor that. So that's
monitor the no guns in the courthouse thing.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And it's basically because there's courtrooms involved and judges.
But I was told that the judges run their own part of the courthouse. There's different areas of authority in the courthouse. The judges can decide whether they want guns in their courtroom or not. Well, they're not going to want that, and they have banned them.
So you're thinking that it should be up on those rooms that the courthouse is on, is where they should have the metal detector and stuff like that, rather than coming in the front entrance?
Well, no, I'm not saying that, but I'm wondering if we need that level of security at the Webster County Courthouse. I know that.
Well, that's in the law.
What's in the law?
So he's following the law. He can ban them.
That's what I'm trying to
He
get
can
you.
ban them as long as he has people at the front that are monitoring that with the metal detector that's up there too.
Right.
If you've been in there recently,
Is that a position you agree with?
it's the law. So,
Yeah, I know
if
it's
we
the
wanted
law.
to change it, I suppose we could, but anytime that we go there, you might be dealing with some federal court stuff, and then we're dealing with the federal government versus the state, or, there's a lot of different entities that come into play, just like, we do with our hospitals and with our schools. The hospitals are wanting total vaccination, or you're going to get laid off or fired from your job. Well, they also receive federal money, which the state could come and say, no, you don't have to do that. Well, then if the federal money says, people say we're not going to give you federal funds anymore if you don't follow the mandate of having vaccinations, then these hospitals are in jeopardy of losing a large amount of federal funds from Medicaid. These hospitals can't make it if they don't get reimbursed, from the federal government.
Absolutely.
And so if they said, well, we're not going to do it, and they lose their federal funds, so the state isn't prepared to go to every Pocahontas and Lake City and, all these hospitals and gin up the money that they lost on the federal level. So in a way, we don't know if that's legal. What the federal government is saying, if they're saying that as a threat and it's actually legal that they can do it, or if it's something that they actually have the ability to not give those funds, is if that is true. So we're still trying to sort through all of that stuff. And, my heart really goes out to the people that, personally have a hard time for many reasons of getting vaccinated, but they're going to lose their job after they've been there 22 years. We can laugh about it, but it's really tough. I know, but it's really a tough struggle for some of the people that just in their own heart, they don't want to do this, but they have a 22-year career and they're weighing both sides of this saying, what do I do? And my heart actually goes out to these people, that they don't care about other people getting masked and they wear masks. So it's not like they're not wearing masks, but to get vaccinated, they don't care if there's other people get vaccinated. They just don't want it, but yet it's going to affect a 22 or 25-year career that they've had in our hospital systems, which is a tough decision.
Tim Cranbrink's our guest. He's a state senator, of course. If you'd like to ask Senator Cranbrink a question, it's 955-1400. The real reason I brought up Jesse Green is because he's with me, or I'm with him, I should say, as to a law requiring student athletes to attend the athletic, to go for the sports as the gender they were born with, not some manufacturer.
Oh, I would support that.
You would support.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Ann was,
and it probably is something that's going to be coming up shortly.
Well, it will. It was. There was a question of discrimination in the last legislative session, I understand, but I think that's lunacy that we would consider that.
I think they're just going to have to check the legality of your birth sex.
Yes.
If we can stick with that as what that child is athletically, then, or that's what they can compete in. But there was a weightlifter, I think, this year, a man in the Olympics, I think,
230 pounds.
That actually participated in the women's, right?
Yes.
Am I right?
Yeah, you are.
I don't know. That's still part of that shock thing. I think that they're just slowly creeping in.
And by the way, he looked like a man. She's identifying.
Yeah, I didn't even watch. I just heard.
Yeah.
So
I didn't really watch the Olympics this year myself because they're so woke.
Yeah.
It's boring.
Yeah.
I
love track and field, and I love volleyball. I like all those. There's a lot of great sports, and gymnastics. That's fun to watch. All that stuff is fun to watch.
Gymnastics is, God,
they're phenomenal, aren't they?
They are. Those girls
athletes
and young men. Those young women.
I mean, if you can stand out there with your arms straight out and hold your body weight, I could be there for about a minute, a millisecond maybe, and I don't think I would actually have held, but both my shoulders would be ripped off. But they are just unbelievably talented.
Unbelievably talented people,
and also dedicated.
Very.
I mean, you think what it takes for them to eat properly every single day and work out the amount of hours that they work out, and to be that kind of reminds me of hardcore wrestlers, that just have to keep their weight, and they got to, do all of this while they're working out. And
you get a top caliber wrestler, you have a real intense athlete on your hands. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, Tim and Terry Brands down at the University
of
Iowa, they're still.
Oh, watch them.
Yeah.
Watch them coach and tell me they're not intense.
Oh, they are. They really are.
Listen to them speak, at the Hawkeye dinners and stuff. And if they're speaking, they're fun to watch because they are so intense. Just talking to a regular group of fans, it's like, holy cow! I'd hate to be one of their wrestlers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you would. Dan Gable, I guess, is real tough. He doesn't come out that way.
No, not anymore. He's mellowed a little bit.
Mellowed,
I think. Yeah.
But, he was.
I'm sure he was very intense.
I've met. Of course, I met.
Did he coach the Brands?
Yes, he did.
So that probably is where a lot of that came
Sheldon,
from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they were Sheldon, Iowa kids?
They're Sheldon, Iowa kids, yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Their dad owned a small auto repair business over there, from what I understand.
Awesome.
But I guess they used to have some ridiculous wrestling meets
Oh, I
out in the
bet.
front yard
I
that weren't always friendly.
That's probably where they got USC fighting or what is it?
UFC fighting.
Yeah, UFC fighting. That's probably a mixture of wrestling, boxing, and kicking each other. So
I've interviewed Coach Brands. He's just a little guy.
Oh, yeah.
But he's got a look in his eyes
Oh,
that
yeah.
I would never miss.
Oh, he's not much different than Spencer Lee.
No.
I mean, size-wise, when they come into the, we've had him in the Senate as far as recognizing him for his championships and stuff. And no, they're pretty much the same way. And then he always comes to me and, kind of tells me to edge our good wrestlers to Iowa, that we've got here, like Teskey and all those guys that are going through right now, Ayala's and all those good wrestlers. So,
Well, you and I, Doug Osborne, is that his name over there? The head coach of UNI. He seems to have a pretty good line into the Fort Dodge wrestlers. He's got both Alaras over there,
and Teskey, I think ended up there after Penn State. Yeah,
Penn State. Yeah, but we still have a lot of great wrestlers. I really hope that Iowa State, that Kevin down there can.
I think he is. I think he's doing a good job.
I think he is. Iowa State was a top program into the 80s, top program, and then it kind of went down the tubes. But, I had Kevin Dresser is an old Humboldt kid.
Yeah.
And
I think he's very well respected, and
I think he is.
And I think the kids love him too. So that's always a plus.
He's got a lot of Iowa wrestlers on it. He used to anyway, as his assistants.
Oh, there aren't that many huge wrestling states anymore.
No, there isn't.
I mean,
But
most
Penn State has kind of kicked Iowa out of first place. It used to be Iowa and Oklahoma.
And Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if Nebraska, they have wrestling. I would imagine.
Nebraska has some decent
just
wrestlers, but
doesn't
they're
seem
not
like-
the greatest program
Right.
in the world.
Right.
They're kind of like their football team.
Yeah.
Did-
that was
I was supposed to have
tough week last weekend, wasn't it? For
Yeah,
you?
for Nebraska, it was kind of a tough one. Hey, I've had to be around Nebraska people.
Oh, yeah.
A good part of my life, and they always say, we're the best in football.
Yeah,
Well,
Ben's all cranked up now. He actually got tickets to the Georgia Clemson game, and that's in Charlotte Saturday.
Whoa.
So that's game day. So he's got
It's in Charlotte?
Yeah, so they're doing it on a neutral field.
Oh.
So they're meeting in Charlotte on I think it's a 3 or 4 o'clock kickoff. So about the same time Iowa State and UNI kickoff, I think. So him and about 12 buddies all got
You
tickets.
bet, man.
Because they opened up the upper deck. When they opened that up, then tickets just
Went through
flew
the roof.
out, and well, they didn't get expensive because they were going to try to sell them.
Yeah.
So they had a chance to get some cheaper tickets, and
Mhm.
so they all ate them up, and that's going to be a packed. That's top 5.
Mhm.
Matchups there. So that's pretty awesome for this early in the year.
Yes, it is.
First game.
Yes, it is. Wow. I don't suppose they had wrestling up in Polina.
No, we didn't. They do now. South O'Brien does, but we were basketball, football, track, and baseball. That's
Yeah,
all. That's all we did. So,
Well, that's plenty.
well, I mean, it is, and we didn't have that many kids. So, if you're stealing, although usually the same kids that are wrestlers don't go out for basketball. So,
No, they
there
don't.
probably wasn't, an opportunity for us to get it, but I don't know why the school didn't push it, at that point. So,
the
conference didn't, I don't think so.
Coach Nicholson of Iowa State used to come up here regularly in the 50s and 60s because he wanted the farm kids because they were, a lot of manual labor on farm work. They were strong kids.
Good ethic, work ethic.
Work ethic, weren't afraid to mix it up.
Yeah. I don't think that's even in the dictionary anymore, that word.
Mix it up?
No, work ethic.
Work.
Of course, I'm probably to blame for that too. So who knows?
I don't know. I know what you're talking about, though. There is a sense of entitlement, and to be honest with you, my dad used to talk that way about my generation. Oh, you kids are so spoiled.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
and they both walked uphill in the snow to school,
6 miles,
and back the same way. They must have been going backwards.
Senator Tim Kreinbrink has been our guest. Thank you, Tim.
You bet.
All right, it's 4:00 in the afternoon. News is next. This is KVFD Fort Dodge.
I'm Dave Ramsey. Join me every Monday through Friday afternoon from 5 to 8 p.m. on AM 1400 KVFD Fort Dodge.
The awful toll of Ida. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. What began as a powerful